It seems like Monster Hunter Frontier is becoming more popular every day. I mean, this is a game that you can't even really play anymore and was never released in the West. Even with all that, fans seem to be in love with the type of monsters and mechanics that Frontier had to offer. With the inclusion of Espinas in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the floodgates are pretty much open. Fans everywhere are speculating what monster could come next to the mainline franchise. In this video, I want to talk about 5 Frontier monsters I think should come back to the franchise. This is in no particular order, and I'm not even saying they should be in Rise, just monsters that need a second chance. I won't be talking about Elder Dragons or Zenith monsters. I feel like those monsters need their own separate dedicated videos. These are 5 monsters that I personally love and would love to see have a second chance in the mainline series. With all of that out of the way, let's get right to the video. Number 5 is Lolo Gugoff and Ray Gugoff. Now, forgive me, my pronunciations of these monsters may be off, but I'm going to try my best in this video. So the Gugoff brothers are these insane monkey-like monsters that have this ability called magnetization. Think 2 smaller Rajangs completely magnetized and just flying all over the map, right? They're actually insane to me because like they work together in the fight. They have these like tag team moves that they use against the hunter. Their attack style kind of reminds me of like 2 wrestlers. So it's like you're fighting against 2 wrestlers in a ring. It's such a cool concept for a monster. And I mean, we've seen Garangolm is like the newest of these Rajang gorilla type monsters, but compared to something like a Garangolm, these 2 guys are very agile, even more agile than the Rajang itself. I think the monkey monster is a really cool idea. I mean, look at these guys. They go fucking Super Saiyan 3 during battle, and they also have some really interesting lore. So Ray Gugoff is basically a normal Gugoff, while Lolo Gugoff is a Gugoff that evolved with a recessive gene that makes it more aggressive. So Lolo is kind of like the leader, while Ray is kind of his like tag partner. It's really cool. 2 monsters that synergize together to fight the hunter. It's a really neat concept, and especially with the magnetization, they can make like magnet tornadoes. It's crazy. I really do think these guys need a second chance. Number 4 is the Akira Vashimu, or just the Akira in general. So the Akira is basically a Carapaceon similar to Daimyo Hermitar, except it is a scorpion monster, which is really cool. We really don't have that many Carapaceon monsters in Monster Hunter in general, and seeing a scorpion is just like a really refreshing design. I love the crabs, and I can talk about them forever, but everything that I love about the crabs can be applied to the Akira. You see, the Akira also has this really cool ailment called crystallization. When you get hit with crystallization, you basically get these crystals all over your body, and you have to kind of wiggle to get them off, or you need another hunter to hit you. Sometimes the crystals spread too fast and you can't wiggle them off yourself, and you really need someone to hit them off of you. I could see something like that being a interruption for hunters who use flinch free, and seeing how Gen 5 made flinch free way more accessible on any kind of armor set, it's just really cool to have a monster that could be a answer to what's meta at the time. The Akira is a pretty aggressive monster. It fights with its claws and its tail. When you first see it, it's actually buried completely underground, and all you see is the like crystals peeking out of the ground. But when you approach the crystals, his tail goes whipping out. Like I said before, the Carapaceons are super cool, like design wise, and with a game that's flooded with wyverns and more wyverns, I think a scorpion's just a really neat concept for a monster. The more unique monsters, the better, in my opinion. Maybe rework a couple of his moves to make him more aggressive or make it more intimidating to the player, but overall, the Akira, in whatever form, I think deserves a second chance in the mainline series. Number 3 has to be Pariah Puria. Now, obviously, Pariah Puria was going to be on this list. I mean, his mask is the mascot for my entire YouTube channel, so it just wouldn't make sense for him not to be on the list. Pariah Puria is pretty much just Tiger-X but a fish. That's quite literally what it is, just fish Tiger-X. He's really spastic, and besides being the best boy, he's always hungry. Like, he's always eating something. There's actually this really neat mechanic where when he goes to like do this Pac-Man chomp on the ground, you could put down different types of meat, like trank meat, poison meat, stuff like that, and it has different effects to Pariah depending on the meat that he eats. Now, the only problem with this mechanic is that in Frontier, either I'm an idiot or I could just never really get it to work that well. Like, it was really hard to line up the meat for him to eat it. And then sometimes I feel like the effects were too minuscule to notice or really didn't affect the hunt that much. To be honest, he's not really that much of a impressive fight. I feel like he's more of a mid monster, you know, somewhere around Rathalos level. I do love how spastic he is and this weird like 180 degree turn that he does. He has a ton of personality as a monster, and I really do think he deserves a fair shake. Like, I think if you tweaked the whole like meat eating mechanic, it might be really fun. He's really crazy. He also does this thing where he's running and the like smoke cloud behind him can put you to sleep or spoil you. It's really weird. I guess it's implied that he's like farting while he runs. I really don't know. This guy is an absolute goofball. What's not a goofball is Pariapuria has a species known as a supremacy species. Like Supremacy, Pariapuria in Frontier is so frustrating. He has this attack where he can like make rocks fall from the ceiling and it stuns the hunter in place, and then he just like destroys you afterwards. Maybe if Pariapuria returns to the franchise, with him Supremacy monsters could return. And it's just funny seeing this little goofball monster have a Supremacy species. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like he's a demon. I mean, best boy and demon boy. Like, it's crazy. This monster has so much personality. I could talk about him for days, but I'm just gonna move on. So please, Monster Hunter, bring back Tiger X Fish. Like, we need him. He's the best. So number 2 is Anora Patisu. Now, I'm pretty sure I just butchered that name, but it's totally fair, okay? Because this dude absolutely butchered me while I was fighting him. The Anora resembles like a swordfish mixed with a Diablos, and he kind of has the same attacks as a Diablos, a little bit, but not completely. So this thing is a master of land, sea, and sky. Dude can swim, fly, and go underground. The Anora can do these like crazy AoE blasts of like frozen ice that you don't want to be caught anywhere near. He's super fast. He's super agile. He dives into the ground, dives back out, kind of like a Diablos, but at 3 times speed. He seems to produce this like freezing cold vapor out of his body, and he uses that freezing cold vapor to do tons of different attacks. There's this one attack where he flies above you, and where he flies, it like starts sprinkling down ice shards. It's pretty insane. Actually, he has a lot of attacks that create giant AoE areas of like raining ice shards. He also has this attack where he'll take his sword nose thing and shove it into the ground, making a circle around him. When he's doing that, you want to run as far away as possible. He's getting ready to do a massive AoE blast of frozen ice. What's really cool about this attack is when he does the giant ice AoE thing, it surrounds him in this like vortex of like frozen ice and snow. And you can't really see him inside this giant vortex. And it's hard to tell like what he's targeting because you can't really see him. It's an insane attack. I mean, the title of this monster is Emperor of the Polar Sea. Need I say anything else? And if it just ended there, it would be a fantastic monster. Like, he's a fantastic monster just the way he is, right? But when he goes into rage mode, he envelops himself in dragon element, adding an extra layer of danger to his attacks and another element to inflict on the hunter, like ice and dragon. It's actually insane. He can also shoot these like ice balls that are like ice and dragon balls mixed together, so you're getting frozen and getting dragon blight at the same time. It's awesome. He kind of reminds me of like the Zamtrios, the way he goes underground and the way he pops in and out. Think of this as like Zamtrio's Diablos cousin. Like, if a Zamtrios and a Diablos mixed together, it would be this guy. Talk about a monster that needs a second chance. Come on, Capcom, bring this guy back. All right, before we get to number 1 on the list, I kind of want to throw out a few honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is the Laviente. So I couldn't in good conscience put Laviente on this list only because I was never able to actually fight it. Now, that's not to say I don't want this monster to return to the series. I absolutely do. I think it does a lot for Siege monsters. Like, it seems that you have a lot more interaction than normal Siege monsters. It's gigantic. It's a spectacle. It's like a unique monster, giant snake thing. Like, it's super cool, definitely up my alley, but I just can't like put it on the list because I never fought it. You know what I mean? I think it would just be disingenuous to put something on the list that I actually never got to hunt, you know? So that guy, honorable mention. Another honorable mention is this big turtle guy. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. He's not on the list, so I don't feel like butchering that, but he feels like he belongs with like the Eucanlos family, you know, those big monsters. This big turtle guy has this giant like cannon on the top of his back, and he's just so cool. He's a gigantic monster that's not a siege fight. He's just huge as fuck. He was the flagship for the Forward 5 expansion for Monster Hunter Frontier, if I remember. So there's a lot going for him. He's super cool. Big turtle guy, definitely honorable mention. So with all the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get to number 1. Okay, and number 1 is Tycoon Zamuza. Now, if you know anything about me, I mean, I've already alluded to it in this video alone. I love the Carapacetion. I love the crab monsters. I think they're such cool designs. But this thing just stands out. It's a cut above. So the Tycoon Zamuza, I'm just going to call Zamuza because it sounds like Zabuza, and Zabuza is cool. Okay, fuck it. I'm just going to call him Zabuza. So the Zabuza, right? It's this like giant crab rock monster that has these like weeds growing out of it. It has barnacles on it. It's just this gigantic like living rock crab. It has this giant like stone fist and this little sickle hand, and it uses the stone fist like a hammer, and it uses that sickle hand thing like a slicing blade. Like, it basically has a hammer and a sword, but it also uses its like rock hammer kind of like a shield. It'll shield itself while it walks up to you, and then just kind of like bitch slash you. I guess that's the term I came up with. It's not a bitch slap, it's a bitch like slash. It's so cool. So as you're fighting this giant rock creature, it becomes apparent that there's something inside the rock. You start to see this bright orange shell protruding out of this giant rock monster. It's a really cool contrast. The orange really pops out behind the backdrop of the old, decrepit, like brown rock. And as you continue the fight, it's just more and more pieces of a like shell starts to appear. So you realize that there's more to this monster than you're seeing, right? That it's enveloped itself in some sort of like rock and what looks like barnacles and stuff as like some sort of defense. And as you fight the monster, you chip away at its defense, and it becomes a little bit faster. It becomes a little bit more agile as you chip away from the rocks. And once you chip away at most of the rock, if not all of it, you finally get to lay your eyes on the Zamuza, the monster you've been fighting all along. And that's it, right? That's all this thing has to offer. It had the really cool rock mode, and now it's its final form, the orange crab monster Zamuza. So you think, until you realize that its orange shell looks like it's cracking. Its arm looks like it's cracking, its legs, the giant hammer fist starts to crack a little bit. Could there be more to this monster? But no, you kill the monster, it flips over, it's dead, right? Well, when you think you just killed the monster, he flips back over, takes his giant fist arm, slams it into the ground, destroys the arena below you, and with it, its shell, and evolves into its like actual Frieza final form. This electric crab thing with a drill hand and slicing blade arm that is super fucking fast. It can still throw rocks with its like drill arm that used to be the rock hammer arm, but now it has electricity, and it takes its like blade arm and shoves it into the ground, and then it like drags it across the ground. It makes electricity and then shoots it at you. He can also put his two like blade hands together and like conduct electricity and throw it at you. It's insane. But by far one of the craziest things this thing can do, it jumps in the air and goes into these like crevices in the wall of the arena area, right? And it just starts like teleporting around, and like it can shoot right directly in your face from one of these like little spots where it's just like teleporting. This bitch is teleporting. Like, this monster was teleporting before Sunbreak had Malzeno. Like, this is the original teleporting monster, right? Like, this guy is insane, and it's a crab. It's a little electric crab man. I can't. If you know anything about me, I love the crabs. This is my number one pick, like, by far. This is the number one monster I want. I know earlier in the video I said, oh, this is in no particular order. Fuck that. This is number one. I want to see my fucking electric crab man come back to the series. I love the crabs. I love the Carapaceons. Come back, Capcom, I will fight you, fist fight you, bring my boy back. This is like the coolest fucking monster. I love it. Oh my god, he deserves a chance. Bring him back, Capcom, bring him back. Alright, that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe. Let me know what you want to see me do next. I am always open to suggestions. Also, let me know your top 5 Frontier monsters you want to see make it back to the mainline games, right? I love these videos because I can express myself, like, I can give my opinion on the monsters that I want to see return, but also I like to read comments of videos like these and see what other people have to say. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has different opinions when it comes to the monsters in the series, and I just love to see those. So, you know, blow up my comments. I want to see what your top 5, if it's top 10, like, I want to see what Frontier monsters you think deserve to come back in the franchise, or just deserve to get another, like, chance at, you know, another chance at the game. So with all that said, that's it. That's all I have for you. To all the new subscribers, thank you so much. We're almost at 500 subscribers. We're at like 300 subscribers at the recording of this video. Can't wait. I'm trying to get to 500 so I can get the community tab. Community tab's gonna be fucking fantastic. Thank you, everyone. I love all the great, good comments, even the bad ones too. Like, it's all good. This is so much fun. All right. Until next time, bye.